Okay, so here is the data for students and their favorite M&M colors, which by the way, each M&M tastes differently based on the color. It's factual. Lies. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. The red one's the best one, or green. Okay. No, they're different. Okay. So really quick, 64% of all the females like blue M&Ms. So out of the females, how many liked blue? 30 out of 70. When you divide 30 divided by 70, what do you get? 40 something. 40, it's like 42, 43, I don't remember exactly. But this is false. Okay. Of all who selected red M&Ms, 60% of those were male. So out of the red, how many were male? 15. 15 out of 25 gives me 60%, which is true way. Okay. Of the total students surveyed, 15% were female who like green M&Ms. So out of the total, how many liked green M&Ms? 20 out of the 130, and that's 15%. Pretty sure. Okay. So true way. Yay. What you want? Sandwiches. First of all, raise your hand if you like Publix subs over Subway. Raise your hand if you like Subway subs over Publix subs. Gross, you all failed my class. Okay. All right. So here's what you're gonna do. Ready? You're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. That's true. But Publix has everything else. Okay, so yeah, it does slap. Okay, ready? So below is a table collected over a weekend at a local Subway shop. The table compares a customer sandwich meat to the choice of bread. Okay, so looking at this, I'm waiting on y'all. Okay, by looking at the table, without making any calculations, would you say that there's a relationship between sandwich meat choice and bread choice? Is there any kind of sandwich meat choice and bread choice? Go ahead. Ralph's talking. Ralph's got it. Okay. Or teriyaki, you'd like it. Okay, so you're more likely like chicken and teriyaki, and then the Italian bread, and then 9-grain wheat and roast beef, right? Okay. Okay. Huh? Will I? Yes. Is it my go-to? No. Turkey's my go-to. Yeah. Or that what is it? It's all Italian meat, like salami, pepperoni. That one hit. Yeah. Those are good. All right. So really quick, I want you to write down this table. Also go ahead and make like a little total for each side. They didn't total it up for you. To do that for each one. Okay, so take a second, go ahead and write this down. You're going to use this for the next couple of problems, so make sure you get it down. So really quick, okay, so for each one of these, we've created the probabilities. So we actually like wrote them down as percentages. So below, using the evidence from the two-way table, explain how the probability of W and the probability of RB were derived. I'm not going to insult your intelligence. How this is calculated is you take the total of W, like you add all of these up and then you divide it by the total. And obviously like that's how I got this. Okay, and then the same thing for roast beef. You add them all up and then divide by how many there are. Okay, so down at the bottom of your chart, go ahead and write out these percentages because you're going to need them in the next slide. Okay, so bring it back really quick. You ready? We gotta talk. Okay, so conditional probabilities. This is what we talked about last week. This is the whole given thing. Okay, so for instance, right here, this is the probability of Italian bread given that they choose ham. Okay, this is the probability of Italian bread, given that they choose roast beef. Okay, so it does it for each individual one, right? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna compare and contrast these with the slide that I just had up here, down at the bottom. Okay, so we're comparing, okay? So we're saying out of the Italian bread is 48%, right? And then the wheat bread is 51.7, right? So coming back in here, looking at these, this is really similar to 48%, right? This is really similar to that 48%. This is sort of similar. It's a little bit farther out. This is similar to this number. This is a little bit farther out. This is similar to this number. This is a little bit farther out. Okay. So I want you to compare and contrast the probabilities found at the beginning of this test with the conditional probabilities you just found. Which sandwich meat choices actually affect bread choices? Which do not? How do you make this determination? So first, write down what's inside the box. Okay. And then we're going to compare. Ralph said this earlier. He said that there was some type of like relationship going on with this and probably like, was it roast beef? That one. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to take a look at those. Probably if somebody gets roast beef, they're probably going to get wheat over Italian bread. That's what this is showing. If they get teriyaki chicken, they're probably going to get Italian bread. That's what this data is showing. Okay. The rest of them are kind of like a toss up. Okay. So the two words I need you to know is independent. Okay. The outcome of one event does not affect the outcome of the other events. And dependence, the probabilities change depending on the conditional category. Go ahead and write those two things. This means to you. No, you don't have to write this all down. No, you don't have to write this down. All right, ready? Shh. Okay. So consider this statement. The probability that Italian bread is chosen, given that ham is chosen. So in the statement, the choice of bread is independent of the choice of ham. We can see that in the probabilities below, the probability of Italian bread is 48%, and the probability of Italian bread given ham is about 50.7%. Since these are approximately the same probability, we can say that the probability of Italian bread given ham is equal to the probability of Italian bread. What other parts of the table and data set 2 can be written in a simpler way? Okay, so looking at this, basically, which ones are similar to their original numbers? So looking at this, Italian bread is 48%, right? So that would be ham as well as turkey. Okay, so the probability of Italian bread, given that it's turkey, is equal to the probability of Italian bread. Same thing with this one. Okay, that means these are independent. With me? Okay, the probability of wheat, given that you have ham, is equal to the probability of wheat, as well as with turkey. Okay, so those are all independent. Yes? Does that make sense? Since the number of the probability of the initial, so like the probability of Italian bread by itself, is equal to the conditional probabilities, then they're independent of each other. Okay, so Italian bread and turkey and ham, as well as wheats, ham, and turkey. Okay, so now here are the two formulas that we're dealing with. Okay, so what we already know, we wrote this down last week. This is the conditional probability formula. If you weren't here last week or you weren't here on Friday, I would write this down. Independent relationships, this is shown by this. And the formula for independent events is the intersection of A and B is equal to the probability of A times the probability of B. Okay, so you're gonna want to write those three down. Okay, so using this, we're gonna use the formula to verify that ham and Italian bread are independent events. Are you ready? Here's the magic. Ready? Probability of A. So this is gonna be ham. What is the probability of ham? Let's look down here. It's 0.243 or 24%, right? Then we're going to do the probability of Italian bread. What was the probability of Italian bread? Okay, which is 0.483. We're going to multiply those two things together. So I'm going to say 0.243 times 0.483. And that's going to give me about 12%, 11.7 if you want to. Yes. Yes, this is going to make it smaller. Okay. Everybody understand that I multiplied those two probabilities together, right? Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to find the intersection of those two things. So how many had ham and Italian bread? Out of how many total? Out of the total, it was 300. Okay, so we're going to say 37 and divided by 300. And that is going to be about 12%. These two numbers are equal. That means that they're independent events. So we're going to use the formula to verify that roast beef and Italian bread are not independent events. So what is the probability of roast beef? Okay, cool. And then what's the probability of Italian bread? 0.483. Okay, good. Now, when we multiply those two things together, we're going to get, we get 12%, right? Okay. Now, when we go to roast beef, Italian bread, out of the 300, that is 6%. Are these the same numbers? No, so they are not independent. Yeah, and we proved that really at the beginning, but you know, now we actually have mathematical reasoning behind it. Okay, so this is how you prove that two things are independent events. Okay, okay, good talk. All right, that's all I got. Yeah.